We just finished breakfast and I said, Dad, did you hear that bell? Yeah, I believe I did, son. Where do you think that's coming from? I don't know. Let's go out on the back porch and see if we can tell. So Daddy followed me out on the back porch and we listened and yeah, we could hear it. It was a dinner bell, or what we call a dinner bell. Back in those days, almost every farm had a bell that they ring to bring the hands in from the field for dinner or supper. And we heard it, but if you heard it in an unusual time of the day, it meant that there was something wrong. I think it's coming from Munderberg place, don't you, Daddy? Yeah, I believe so, son. I'll grab the jackets. You get the old truck cranked up. So I did. I ran out to the truck, the old 46 Ford pickup truck, and got it cranked up fairly easily. It was kind of cantankerous on a cold morning like this was. It was early December. Daddy jumped in right beside me and said, let's go, son. I was ready to go. I was 15 years old and had been driving just about a year. And there's no bigger thrill to me than get behind the wheels of that old truck going down those dirt roads. Of course, I wouldn't go as fast in there with Daddy as I did when he wasn't along. A few minutes we were at the Funderburk's place. Miss Funderburk and her boy Jasper lived there. Somebody says her husband run off and some said she's a widow woman, but we didn't really know. Jasper was about 10, I guess, and she's really poor, took in washing and ironing and sewing and stuff like that for women in the neighborhood, make a little money. She was always on the needy list at church, and we always made sure that there was something under the tree at Christmas time at their house for Jasper. It wasn't long ago, back during the summer, I was down there and I buried Jasper's dog. He had this dog named Buster, and one day he ran out in the road in front of a pulpwood truck and pow, killed him graveyard dead. I helped that poor boy bury his dog that day. It was the saddest day of my life. His life too. She said Buster's the greatest dog that ever was. And Junior Myers, the guy driving the truck, said he'd be glad to give Buster one of his dog Lucy's pups, but Jasper said no, there'd never been a dog to replace Buster. Well, everybody gathered up around the place, and Miss Funderburk was out there, and she had an apron on. Said, y'all, I hate to call y'all, but Jasper didn't come home last night. He was out playing in the woods, you know, and like I always did, but it turned dark and he didn't show up. But I thought he might come on in later, maybe just late, starting back, you know. You know how boys get involved in things. But he never showed up, so this morning, bright and early, I had to come out and ring the bell and get some help. Maybe y'all could help me find him, you know. So there's a pretty good group of men there, you know, and I think it was Cecil Timmerman come forward and said, y'all all divide up, we'll divide up groups and we'll go find him, you know. Well, Cecil had been a sergeant back in the war and he didn't mind telling people what to do, but sometimes we needed that. So we all kind of divided up into groups. And he says, y'all get a gun from your truck or car, fire 3 shots in the air, see anything, that way we'll know when to call off the search. Okay. So I ran back to the truck, grabbed that 16-gauge shotgun my dad gave me when I was 8 years old. About that time, running to my good buddy Jimbo Dillashaw was there. And if you know anything about Jimbo and me, you know that we've been blood brothers our whole life. Ever since we cut our hands and shook underneath that old chinaberry tree. Well, we all cut out and started looking, and Jimbo and I decided one of the best places to look would be in the old schoolhouse. So we went across there to Liberty Schoolhouse. It was abandoned now. Jimbo and I had gone to school there, but the county soon shut it down and bused everybody into the city to school. It was kind of run down now, shrubs growing up around it and all that kind of stuff. Somebody knocked a few windows out. But we went in all right, pushed the big door open, it screeched, opened, wasn't locked or anything. Sure looked funny. They'd ripped all the desks out and all. There's just dirt floor almost in there, covered up with dust and spider webs everywhere. And I heard some birds. I guess it's probably some pigeons or something, or maybe some bats, I don't know. But it wasn't but 3 rooms, so it didn't take long to look around. We started leaving. I said, Jimbo, remember when I caught you in that cloakroom snuggled up with that youngest Chastain girl? He said, yeah, I remember that, but you know that skinny girl's filled out pretty good now. Okay, Jimbo, let's go. And so I said, where do you reckon you ought to go next? Jimbo says, I don't know. What about the dynamite shack? The dynamite shack? That sounds like a good idea. That'd give some shelter from the night. So we kept cutting through the woods there, and we were on in the Sumter National Forest government land there, and Jimbo says, did you hear that? No, I didn't hear anything, but, Jimbo can hear a bumblebee breaking wind a quarter mile away. He can hear everything. Actually, a lot of trees and things like that had been planted by the Civilian Conservation Corps back in the Depression, and part of that was a camp they had, a barracks and all that stuff. They had a place to store things, and some things they stored was dynamite, and they had this little building off away from everything else, and it said explosives on the side of it. Well, boys, but being boys, that was always sort of an enticement to go and poke around in there. Of course, we never did find any dynamite in there or anything. But pretty soon we were there, and it was shrubs growing up around it and briars and stuff like that. But we peeked inside, and hopefully we find that one more stick of dynamite maybe. But we didn't. We didn't find anything in there. Some rats had been gnawing on some corn or something like that in there. Could see some droppings and all. But we're off from there and said, well, hey, Jimbo, what about the old Milford place? Seemed like that would be a good place for a boy to hide. All right, let's go, Jimbo says, and so we kind of halfway tear off through the woods and shrubs there, and you always got to make sure if Jimbo gets in front, and he's pretty fast and got long legs, he might, but if he gets in front of you and he pushes branches out of the way, you turn him loose and they'll catch you smack you right in the face. And sure enough, I got too close and a big old briar cut a gash in my face there, and I started bleeding. Hey, Jimbo, wait up! He turns around and looked at me, and he started laughing at first, and then he grinned, and then he did an impression of my old Uncle Dewey. He'd say, well, it's just skin, boy. It'll grow back. That's what my uncle used to tell me when I'd be out working on the farm with him and get scratched or something. It used to make me so mad, but I laughed when Jimbo said it. I said, yeah, you're right, Jimbo. Let's keep going. Did you hear that? No, Jimbo, I didn't hear anything. Well, I know I heard something. You had to hear that. Jimbo, I don't know where you're hearing these things. I can't hear a thing. I believe that sounds just between your ears. No, I really heard something. Sounded like, I don't know. So, a little while later, going through shrubs and all that stuff and junk, we finally got to the old Milford place. Well, there wasn't much to see there at all. The old chimney had fallen down, And you could see where a hedgerow was and a big old shade tree was, where I guess where the front porch maybe used to be. I don't know. And Jimbo says, you better look out around here. They had a well. I said, yeah, I know. And a lot of times people don't fill them up when they move away, too. So Jimbo said, you hear that? I said, no, I hear nothing. He said, yeah, I heard something. He kept poking around and said, hey, looky here. Look what I found. And he'd moved some planks out of the way that was stacked up there, and he said, it's a well down here. It looks like it's Jasper down there. Hey, Jasper. I heard a little voice, hey. And, all right, we're going to get you out. And it was lucky in a way that Jasper had fallen in a well. He hadn't gotten hurt going in there, because that was about 20 feet, I guess, down there. And of course, as you know, in the South, the ground doesn't freeze too far, and so it was warmer down there where he was than it was up on ground level. Well, we put a sapling in there, and Jasper climbed right out of there. He was glad to see us. Jasper says, did you hear him? I said, hear what? Jimbo said, what? Did you hear him? Hear who? Buster. He was barking. I know you heard him. Hey, you heard him and come right over here and get me out. Just Buster saved my life by leading you fellows here. I said, what do you mean? Don't you remember, Jasper? Back in late summer, I helped you bury Buster. Yeah, but I heard him barking. I know it was him. Nobody sounds like Buster. I know. I got a cousin got 6 coon hounds, and he can tell you, name each one of them by the way he sounds, the way he barks. Okay, come on. Let's get you home. Your mama's worried about you. So we got out, and I fired out 2 shots, and we started back through the woods, and Jimbo says, "Psst." I said, "What?" He said, "Come here. You know, I heard Buster too."
Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and share the video with your friends. A thumbs up helps my channel grow too. Other videos are available, as you can check out my playlist as well as what's coming up next.